The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to another episode of Gate City Chronicles. I'm Kevin Avard, your host, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about photography and a host of other issues. One of my guests, or my guest for today, is Mr. Bob Thompson. And Bob, you're with a particular organization?
Yes, I am vice president of the Nashua camera club called Professional Forum and Photographers Forum, excuse me. And we operate out of the Bishop Girton High School.
Okay.
We have a very, very professional place to meet. Bishop Girton is a wonderful high school, and their facility is professional. And so we are allowed to meet there twice a month, the first and third Monday of the week. We meet from 7:15 till 9:15 p.m. Twice a month.
Bob, how did you get involved with this?
I owned my own business, and I decided that I wanted to do my own advertising, and so I bought one of the first cameras, which allowed you to put things on the computers.
Yeah.
And
that's a little while ago now.
Oh,
right?
that was quite a while ago. Yeah. And I bought one of the first programs, which then allowed you to utilize the camera. And I didn't know how to use it. And so I joined.
Been there, done that.
I joined a club that Coral Draw was the program that they used at the time, and Photoshop was a second.
I remember Coral Draw.
Camera. And over time, Coral Draw began to lose,
market share.
Market share, yeah. Good word. And Photoshop became the more or less the standard, and I needed more information, and also I needed to know how to use a camera. I mean,
what kind of camera did you have?
What was it? I forget what the name of it was. I ended up going to Nikon.
I got a Nikon camera,
and I had another method of doing things in that when I didn't know how to do something, I would find someone who knew how. And so I familiarized myself and became friendly with a professional photographer. And he showed me some of the tricks, some of the different methods.
Are they still using film at all?
I don't think film is being used very, very seldom. At one time you could go into almost every camera store and they would have row upon row of film. You don't see that anymore.
100 speed, 200, 300, 400,000.
Yeah. In fact, you actually have to look hard. In fact, one of the reasons that many of the camera stores closed is that film was probably one of the biggest sellers.
Right.
And they don't do that anymore. Camera equipment too, has diminished in terms of what's available. So if you notice, there are very, very few camera stores,
Right, you got to go to Best
active
Buy.
today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what has really happened that has really changed things is telephones. Phones now have cameras,
Nice cameras.
very good cameras. The equipment and the quality of the pictures that you can take with a camera, with a telephone, is remarkable.
So with this photo club, do they allow cameras, the camera phones to come in, or do they show you how to use those, or are they still using like the 35 millimeter or the Nikons, or is it a little bit of combination of both?
We use everything.
Okay.
If a member has film, I haven't seen one in a few years.
Where would you develop it anyway?
But if that's what they have for equipment, we have once a month we have a program where every member can present their work, and what we do is we have 3 different categories of pictures. One is we'd pick a particular topic. The topic could be a sport event.
Right.
And everyone who is going to present a picture would present a picture with a sporting event. Then we have challenge. A challenge could be a little bit different. We might want animals. We might want certain colors. We might want black and white film. And then we have what's called open. And in an open category, anything that a member wants to present, can be sent in. And right now we're doing everything with the digital, digitally.
Yep.
And that allows the person to actually submit the picture. And at our club meetings, what have you, we now have. We can now put the images up on a screen, and everyone who's in the room can actually get a chance to see it.
So when they're submitting these, whether it's the sports or animals or maybe just a panorama of like a beautiful landscape, what's the purpose? Is it to show how to improve, or is it a contest?
It's a good question. The primary purpose is number one, to share the image.
Okay.
We have people with different skill levels. One of the advantages that we have is that members have an opportunity to ask questions and to make suggestions as to how you could make the picture a little bit better.
Yeah.
Okay. In some cases, for example, you could crop a part which actually takes away from the image. You can cut it out. You can enlarge it. You can darken it. Depending on how well you utilize, the program that you might have to enhance your image, what have you, you can make remarkable changes. One of the disadvantages is that for the most part, the most prevalent program is Photoshop, which is an expensive program. But there are, and we're exploring some of the more inexpensive programs that are available. One of the things that has really exploded is the quality of pictures that are created with the cameras. So we have thousands of people who have cameras who can actually go out and shoot something. Well, what do you do after you get it?
Right. Do you put it on TikTok, or do you put it on Facebook, or?
And how do you present it? And as a camera club, we have an opportunity to assist new members, older members, in terms of how best to utilize, your pictures. we all are creative and can be creative, and that little piece of photographic equipment we're not limited anymore.
Right. There are, and now, I think I've seen some commercials where they're showing these little clips of how they're actually making movies. And yeah, we got it, but it's with these brand new cameras. And Hollywood, instead of using these big equipments, they're just using this little teeny cell phone, which with all its dynamic, 3D or whatever. But I had a question. So if people inquire about the club, so the whole purpose of the club, you can show your material, you can learn how to use your camera a little better. For instance, I've taken shots when Kylie was doing lacrosse. And on a great sunny day, I could get some really good shots with that ball in the midair and them catching it and the grind and sweat and just really good shots. But on a cloudy day, everything's blurry. And I could never figure out how to fix the aperture or whatever so that I could make sure that I had a good shot on a cloudy day. Does the club help you with things like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the advantages, first of all, because our camera club meets at Bishop Girton, the teacher who teaches photography is available.
Yeah.
He is an amazing teacher, and he's open. We have other camera enthusiasts. We have one or two members who actually own photography organizations where they actually do the film editing.
Yep.
One of them has a piece of equipment which allows you to put your images on a metal frame. I have a few of those.
My dad used to do that.
Okay.
He had a print shop, and actually he had his own darkroom, and he would actually burn images on a plate so that they could be put on the press, and then he put in the ink, and just where it was burnt, it would print it. But he would have to go into the back room and develop it too. I used to love to watch the whole process, but that's interesting that you can do. You still have that. That's still around.
That's really one of the, from my perspective, one of the strengths of the club, in that we have a number of people who are in the profession who can assist both the beginner, the intermediate, and even a professional, what have you. You can, because you can share ideas. We're all there for the same purpose,
Right.
And the different skill levels, and it's a learning. Every time we have a meeting, it's a learning experience. Certainly for me, and
Right.
and I consider myself an amateur.
How long have you been involved with this?
I've been, in terms of the Nashua Club, I've been involved for about four to 5 years. Before that, I was in another club for about 3 years, and then I was doing something completely different.
One of the things that I learned when I was taking photos for Kylie when we're at the games, you see different kinds of cameras on the field, and of course I have this nice Nikon camera, and it can really do this nice zooming and whatnot. And then you look to your left, and of course there's his parent with the scope, like you can look at the moon or something.
Yep.
And then then all of a sudden you run into this camera envy, and I'm thinking, well, what am I missing? Why does it have to be so big when I'm getting some really good pictures with just my little Nikon? And you get the camera envy, and then you get a little intimidated, like. But when you get into this club, you don't have to be intimidated. There's all types of genres, right? So people with the big cameras and
exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's open to expression. I think is a good word, because we all have different skill levels, and we also have different ideas of beauty.
Yeah.
And we all have the ability to be creative.
We had an older gentleman on here. He actually had we got one film from him. It's called Nashua Geographic. Instead of National Geographic, it's Nashua Geographic, where he takes pictures of the wildlife. And I remember him saying, "It's your eye. It's your eye. It's what you see and how you see it." And he would take a picture of a stump and you'd say, "Wow, that's pretty cool. That looks really," because it would be surrounded by some water, the light, the way he hit it. And he took a picture of it. It's like, it's just a stump or a tree or a bird, but it's the way you took that picture that made all the difference in the world. He had a really good eye for that. But is that what you're trying to get across, is that with the different talents that people have?
I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
Because when you see what is done and how it can be changed, it can give you some ideas.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases, I like things which are different. I don't like to get caught in a rut.
Right.
We all have the ability to be innovative, and these small cameras allow us that flexibility, and that's powerful. That's a powerful tool.
Yep.
And how can, once we've taken the picture, how can we make it better? I don't have to go and buy somebody's picture to put on the wall. I mean, I could actually create something and have it blown up and what have you. And this is me.
Yeah.
And, this is what I see. This is what I think is beautiful. And we can I can professionally have it mounted. And I think that's one of the strengths of the club.
What are some of the things that you like, that you have personally created?
Well, I'm into a whole lot of things. For example, I've been to a number of the marches in D.C. There was a march on when the Supreme Court changed some of the voting. They weakened the voter law, and my daughter called me and she said, "We need to go to Washington." And so myself and two other members went down. And so I have a lot of pictures of the of many of the
Demonstrators?
pictures that people brought in terms of demonstrating what they thought, and I put it on my front wall. I had big ones made up, and I put it on my front lawn. So that's one thing. I like pictures of. I like scenes. In some cases, personalities. I took when I was in the last time that I was in California, I took a picture of a few homeless people that were sitting on the street and what have you. I mean, the homeless is a fascinating, troubling dilemma, in this country. I mean, in Boston, there are areas that. You wouldn't think that's part of our country, what have you.
Yeah, I think the mayor, I don't know, is it Cambridge or one of the areas, but that's been on the news recently, how that, there's a lot of sides to the story and how they got there, what how can you help it? How can you change it? How can you offer opportunities, help people get off the dope? Some of them are on dope, and some of them are homeless because of other areas, other
or
reasons.
attitude. In some cases, it's just straight attitude.
Yeah.
It's not an easy question. One of the jobs that I had, I mean, we're getting off the, but one of the jobs that I had was I was a resident coordinator for a housing corporation and what have you. And we had a homeless person. The city of Boston dictated that certain number of dwellings had to be for the homeless. And we had a homeless person in one of those in one of our buildings, and you would think that that was a really positive environment for that person, but that person had to make tremendous adjustments.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy solution.
Right. And but taking pictures of that, obviously.
The facial expressions, it's people, and we're all different. We're all different, and some of us take advantage of cleanliness. Others don't. It's not as important an issue and what have you. So if you see someone whose face may be dirty, who may be not clean shaven, their hair is not quite neat,
Or their priority. Yeah. But that's an interesting topic.
But they're a person with a personality, and they're a problem for some of, certainly for government.
Well, yeah, that's a deep topic. But with regards to taking pictures of people, if you've ever gone on Facebook or something to that effect, and sometimes they'll have or Instagram, you can look at all the different faces around the globe. Some really with defined wrinkles, or striking eyes, or joy that's unspeakable. You can just see it in their face. But with every expression, there's a story behind that, and capturing that has got to be an art. But so, people marching or people that are homeless, these are some of the topics that you've captured.
Those are some of the things which interest me. I mean, for example, I won't photograph a homeless person without asking permission.
Yeah, because their dignity, right?
I just won't arbitrarily, do that. When we're marching, what have you, that's a little bit different. But you try and catch the mood in terms of what's taking place. I mean, even if you go to a meeting, a general meeting, what have you, some people get very, very emotional, about a specific topic.
Right.
So,
as far as the club is concerned, people can just come in at random and they can join the club, learn how to use what they have, learn how to display it, possibly learn how to basically learn from others in the club, I would assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that, quite frankly, that's really that's the strength that we have in that that there are there are many people with a lot of different skills.
Yep.
Who are willing and are anxious to share what they know and how they do it.
Nice place to meet people too, I would assume. That
to me is one of the more positive aspects of the club, in that the interaction between members. We're also doing some on Zoom. And I don't like Zoom only for that reason that interaction with people, that the strength of the club from my perspective is people actually sharing one-on-one, face-to-face with what they know, and how you can ask a specific question and they'll answer it. And if they don't know, they'll tell you to go speak to so-and-so.
So how many members do you have currently?
Right now, we only have 15 active members. We used to have 35.
You think that COVID had something to do with
COVID
that?
had a lot to do with it. We have a few members who are a little bit reluctant to meet in a small space.
Yeah. And you do meet at Bishop Girton? You meet at Bishop Girton?
Yes, we do meet at Bishop Girton twice a month.
Nice.
The first and fourth Monday of every month.
Is there a fee to join the club?
And there is a fee. It is $40, and it's for 1 year. And we meet from September through June. We don't meet August, July and August.
That's basically for administrative fees or something. Whatever.
Yeah, and quite frankly, the school isn't open too. You know, we meet at the school isn't available. We also meet and we go and we'll shoot something at a. In some cases, we'll go to a waterfall
As a group.
And I think they just went out to and had something, and I can't think of the name of where they went. But members, a number of members met and what have you, and they went to a specific spot, and they took, they all took pictures. There again, you can share, what you're using for equipment. What is it that you see? You can just watch what the more advanced members are doing.
Right.
So, it's a learning experience.
Yeah, that's nice. There's a lot of subject area just around here in Nashville alone, whether it's Mayan Falls or just going downtown.
Yes.
There's a lot. So is there a website?
There is a website. If you go, you can call up the forum, Photographers Forum, and we have a wonderful site, and there's some fantastic pictures.
And the name of the site is?
Photographersforum.org.
Photographersforum.org is the website. And if people want to learn more information about that, they can go on that particular website.
Yes, there are. You just need to come to our meetings.
Yeah.
Come to the meeting.
Yeah, and that'll be. Now, is the first meeting free, or do you have to?
Oh yes, it's free.
Yeah, great.
I mean, you can sit in. You can sit in without joining, just to see how
the club
how we operate.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing the experience. It's a really pleasure actually talking to you. And so, folks, if you want to learn a little bit more about your cameras, get involved with the group. Trying to figure out maybe a new hobby or something to that effect, or maybe you want to learn how to display and share what you've already gotten out there. Try this club. It might be something that you might be happily surprised that it fits your needs. So until then, thank you very much for watching Gate City Chronicles. And Bob, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
It was my pleasure.
All right.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.